Am I concerned? 100%.
What can you tell us about the future of inside the NBA and what direction you think it's all headed?
We have zero idea what's going to happen.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about TNT's Inside the NBA coming to an end after the 2024-2025 NBA basketball season, as TNT has lost the rights to ABC, Disney, NBC, and Amazon. And Disney, ABC, same thing. Now, there's a lot we got to get into as to how this whole thing played out. But first things first, if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me just tell you what's going on. So this is a cast of Inside the NBA, a podcast style show that would air after and during NBA basketball games on TNT. Okay, of course, you have Shaq, you have Ernie Johnson, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Charles Barkley. This was, in my opinion, one of the best shows ever on television, at least of its type. In my humble opinion, this was a podcast. And I don't know if shows like this existed beforehand, meaning shows that had a cast of characters consistently, and they would show clips and reactions and give live commentary. I don't know if anything like that existed before this show came out, but it is one of the best, if not the best shows of its type. And a lot of podcasts right now that are on the internet, in my humble opinion, take this kind of format. This was a great show. I watched this show for a good 10 to 15 years. Every NBA season, sometimes I will look forward to Inside the NBA more than the actual basketball games. I mean, this show was amazing. It was really, really good. And now, unfortunately, it's coming to an end. And it was an amazing run, a fantastic run. These guys are all just excellent, just amazing. The chemistry they have together, everything. But of course, business is business. And hey, sometimes, unfortunately, things like this happen. Now, we got to get into the details. And of course, this would be how you would see them on the stage. A lot of times you'll have Shaq and Chuck going at each other, Kenny Jet Smith running to the back, Ernie keeping everything together. He would get in there and exchange a few little barbs. And I think Ernie was a baseball player, so he has knowledge of athletics and athleticism. And of course, you got Shaq, Kenny, and Chuck were all NBA basketball players. So this was a really good cast. But let's get into the business, shall we? Because that's why we're here, to figure out how this whole thing happened and what's going to be the next thing. So you see what it says right here. End of an era inside the NBA on TNT with Shaq and Charles Barkley and Kenny the Jet Smith and Ernie Johnson, of course, to end next season as NBC, Amazon, and ESPN, which really is Disney and ABC, seal live TV rights. And the reason why I said Disney is ESPN and ABC, of course, Disney owns those two, I guess you would say, companies, brands, whatever it is, right? So you see what it says right here. All signs are pointing toward 2024-2025 season being the final edition of Inside the NBA. According to the Sports Business Journal, the NBA is finalizing media rights deals with Disney, NBC, and Amazon this week. Now, this says that it's pointed toward it. All the signs say that it's going to happen. Well, I looked at Dan Le Batard, who is over at ESPN, which is Disney, and he's reporting that this is happening. It's going to go through. There is no more Inside the NBA. Now, if Dan Le Batard, a respected figure over at ESPN, is saying something like this, is probably true. Let's keep on going here. So TNT's losing the broadcast rights to the NBA, and NBC is going to pick up the slack. So that's going to be the thing. You know, money is money. And I'm sure this is going to be, look, check it out. Notably, Warner Brothers Discovery is being left out of these final negotiations, signaling a likely end of their partnership with the league. Sports Business Journal reported massive figures coming from the networks for the NBA media rights. ESPN expected to be paying around $2.8 billion for their slice of NBA coverage. NBC's package reportedly coming in at around $2.6 billion, up from an initial $2.5. Now, I'm willing to bet that this might be per year. Maybe I'm wrong. If you guys know, y'all let me know in the comments. But we're talking about big money just for the right to air NBA basketball games. And the question some may have is, well, why are they paying so much for the right to show the games on television? Obviously, advertisers. So if you're able to get regular season games, okay, that's one thing. You're going to get quite a bit of ad money for regular season games, but playoff time, it's a whole different ball game. You're going to get a lot of money for those games. And then if you get the finals, the NBA, and it's the big finals, you getting 20, 30 million people watching, that's like a Super Bowl. Okay, well, not quite Super Bowl. NFL is a whole different beast, way different. NBA is more along the lines of Major League Baseball, maybe even Major League Soccer. A little bit more Major League Soccer in the U.S. Obviously, it's not comparable to worldwide football or soccer. But in the United States of America, NFL football is number one by far. But NBA basketball is no slouch at all. Okay, let's keep on going. Amazon's deal is ranging from 1.8 to 2 billion and would have a collection of in-season tournament, the play-in tournament, first-round playoff games, the WNBA, and international rights. Now, this whole in-season tournament thing, I saw some of that, but I was not really interested. They had those weird color courts. I was like, no, I'm good on that. I'm not really going to be involved, but that's just going to draw more eyes to the sport and create kind of an early season playoff atmosphere. And the playoffs are always the best part of the actual NBA season. Like me personally, I could skip the entire regular season. Like I've not really watched a lot of sports over the past 2 or 3 years, whether it's football, basketball, baseball. I've not watched many sports at all. I've not watched any regular season NBA games, but I have caught a little bit of the playoffs. Okay, seeing that young boy over in Minnesota, Anthony Edwards. Oh my goodness, Michael Jordan 2.0, Michael Jordan 2.0. Then seeing Kyrie Irving down with the Mavericks with Luka, and even seeing Jokic and the Nuggets before they got bounced by the Timberwolves. I mean, these are good games, good matchups. Even if there is a WWE element, in my humble opinion, because of the gambling and whatnot, which is a different story, and I digress. Even if that's there, I still enjoy it. The same way I enjoyed WWE as a kid, back when they had the F at the end, but I digress. After the details of the deal are finalized, sources say the NBA will take NBC's final offer to Warner Brothers to see if they can match the total value. Well, if Warner Brothers out of the negotiations, then it's probably a wrap. It is expected that Warner Brothers and TNT Sports won't be able to match the deal, as they currently only pay 1.2 on their current deal, 1.2 billion. Also, Warner Brothers is 40 billion in debt and doesn't have the same over-the-air infrastructure as NBC and parent company Comcast. Of course, Comcast is a whole cable company, so they kind of got the game rigged a little bit at least. Let me see. With TNT losing its NBA coverage, it also spells the end of fan favorite show inside the NBA. The 2024-25 season will officially be the last for the cast of Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, and Shaq. Now, one thing about their show, there are other shows that come on after NBA games. Well, not really. I mean, if you have an NBA game on ESPN, they might just play SportsCenter afterward, but I have no desire to watch that. When I would watch a game on ESPN and then they played SportsCenter after, I turned the channel immediately. But we're talking about TNT. They had it so perfect to where, okay, I'm going to watch the actual game, then inside the NBA, and then it might be a movie. After that, I might watch that entire thing. I did that quite a bit, like in my late 20s, early 30s. That was my jam. I loved those days. Back in my monk mode days, I watched that like it was the best show on TV, and for a long time it was, and it still is, in my opinion, one of the best shows ever. NBA fans were crushed by the news and shared the sad on social media. Quote, they're going to be missed, one fan said. End of an era, another said. TNT needs to let them go to NBC, a third fan said. Sad day for the NBA, a fourth fan said. Now, they could get acquired. Let me see. The Emmy winning sports show is a fan favorite. Okay, TNT. Now, one solution could be to recreate the show on another network, but that ain't going to happen. First of all, what's going to have to happen if you do that is TNT sells the rights to the show to another network. And then once it goes somewhere else, it's not going to be the same. If they try to sell it to Disney, look at what they did to SportsCenter. SportsCenter at one time was a titan of television when you had Stuart Scott, Trump derangement syndrome, Keith Olbermann. A lot of these guys that were on these networks back in the day are not going to come back. Okay, they're not coming through that door. If they do, they're going to be old and gray. And the new guys they have running these networks and the gatekeepers are not going to allow and inside the NBA to be recreated on another network, in my humble opinion. All right. So that's pretty much that. I mean, there's more here. But yeah, definitely the end of the era. Sad thing to see. You guys will most certainly be missed on television. And I hope that you're able to come back in some kind of way with the same energy you had before. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about inside the NBA going away after the 2024-25 NBA basketball season because of business? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This was one of the best shows ever, and I'm really sad to see it go. But hey, you know, things like this, unfortunately, they do happen, and that's just business. Ernie Johnson been with them for like 30 years, so I don't see him actually leaving the network. Now, in what capacity he remains, I don't know. Maybe he just might retire and say, you know what? Okay, it was a good run. I've had health scares and everything else. Y'all have been there for me. It might be time to bow out right now. Or it could be a new show in the works, but I don't really know how if there's no more NBA coverage. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.